You gotta be f***ing kidding.
What the fuck?
Hello, my family and friends, and despite what my shirt says, there it is, I'm not fine. Well, here we are, back at it again, plunging our hands down into the filth that is the Rings of Power. Third episode came out, and we're gonna talk about it. The good, the bad, the ugly. Mostly the bad and the ugly, of course. Yes, I know, episode 4 is out now, but I'm doing these reviews in my spare time, so deal with it. Okay. And without further ado, I think that the things that are going to be continually good about this series are really just the aesthetics continuously. And that's kind of sad, because basically any piece of media will look good if you pump enough dollar signs into it. Case in point, every single Transformer movie looks great, even though they are probably some of the stupidest movies ever created.
Shut up, Grandma!
And you will find that Rings of Prime is in the exact same vein.
No shit.
Lots of pretty visuals to divert your attention from the fact that the characters are wooden, the show is disrespectful to the lore, and the storyline sucks donkey spit. So, the good. Pretty visuals with great prosthetic makeup for the orcs. It looks real and alive, unlike the CGI saturated orcs from the Hobbit movies. Visual effects will always be superior to CGI in my book. There are also some really pretty shots in slow motion of a horse that Galadriel is riding, although overshadowed by something horrifying that we will be getting to later. Next, the Númenórean ships are pretty fantastic. I like them a lot. They were majestic and different enough to bring a sense of nautical Númenórean culture, which is great. And I also really liked the actor that they got for Elendil. He is one of the Númenor and actually gives off an exalted aura the Númenóreans would exude. He has an amazing voice. He is big and burly and looks like a very formidable fighter, and I think he would eventually make a great opponent to Sauron at the Battle of the Last Alliance. Even though I guarantee that they are going to disdain his character in the future to prop up their crappy female ones, but that's future matters.
Now don't be hasty.
And the last thing is that it seems like something maybe resembling a ball rolling is finally going somewhere. Galadriel has a clear goal, other than she just me hunt bad guy and wants to redeem her bloodline with not Sauron, excuse me, Halbrand. Whatever the hell that means. Hopefully that makes some sense eventually. But anyway, we are now 3 hours in, and I'm glad that the show finally has some sense of direction, however elusive and tiny it might be. Now, on to the bad, or maybe I should say ugly stuff. Get ready for your back, face, and legs to cringe, because there is all too much to talk about on the ugly side of the Rings of Power. If you didn't think that there were woke politics in this show, it has now come finally full freaking circle.
Full freaking circle.
On the story of diverse black elf, or Airsoft is what I'm gonna start calling him because I can't remember the dude's name. Remember in the first episode when Airsoft's white superior was all like, remember them for who their ancestors were, and that they were the exact same, and that they will never change, and we must blame them for what their families did in the past, probably before they were even born.
It has changed much, Watchword.
But the men who live here have not. The blood of those who stood with Morgoth still darkens their veins. But mark this, Arondir, that for 79 years you've kept watch over the men and women of Tirharad, not because of what their ancestors once did, but because of who they still are. Okay.
If you thought that that wasn't on the nose, then prepare yourself for the literal black guy becoming a slave to white as snow orcs. You really think that the writers just made the token black elf have a slight disdain for the deeds of white people's ancestors and still partially blaming them for the evil that they did in the past on accident? Sound familiar? Duh. And when that not-so-subtle hint was dropped, they followed it up with putting said token black elf in literal chains, serving orcs that are so freaking white, they could use their own skin as paper for a printer. It's all the woke politics that JD Stupid and Patrick Ugly are praising themselves so insistently for. No, we didn't want to put any of the timeless and overwhelming powerful messages that Tolkien put in his own writing. Messages like love, sacrifice, the triumph of good against evil, the corruptions of power, and the respect for Mother Nature. No, we want to make this show reflect a modern world, right? As a result, the messages we are pushing in this show is down with the patriarchy, white man bad, diversity is all that matters, and again, white man bad, white guilt good, woman good, diverse man good, but most of all, white man bad.
Seriously?
Want some other examples of wokeism in the show? Here are just a few. Every white man in the Rings of Power is either completely incompetent, stupid, or weakling, or secretly evil. Just like Elon Musk said. The only people to have any character flaws that are brought to light and magnified for all to see and are later their undoing are the white guys. We couldn't even get a single black guy to be on the action of beating up Halbrand because that would paint minority people in a bad light. Only white guys can do evil. Diversity only matters when we have to have good, honorable, and skilled characters, but never when we need an evil antagonistic bully. Not a single diverse person in this show is ever allowed to be evil in any way.
You are stupid.
Every white man mansplains to non-white characters and non-male characters and eventually gets called out for it or literally killed in the show for it. Every straight white male in this show that does show good and exceptional qualities is almost certainly evil. Halbrand, being the only competent one whose flaws aren't immediately visible, is most certainly going to be the evil Sauron, again showing that no white men are allowed to be good in any way. Elendil is a great sailor, but look at that, he's a rotten father, while his diverse son somehow is just an innocent kid that is constantly antagonized by his white supremacist father. Even when biology would dictate that Elendil's son would be white along with his white sister, Isildur can't be white because he's actually a good character. Go figure!
That seems awfully convenient.
We literally invented an entire new female character just to compete with her brother and show that women are competent too. We made up a fake university just so that we can show that we have another strong female character with no flaws and is better at everything than her male counterparts because we definitely needed another strong female character to add to the ever-growing ocean of them. Galadriel literally bowing down to the patriarchy and resenting her king because he wants her to stop killing her soldiers. Galadriel is built up as a sympathetic and powerful character, even though she has the worst leadership skills, constantly sacrifices those below her for her own selfish desires, is prideful and short-sighted, and just angry 24/7, all of which would completely have condemned her if she was a man. And now we've got this pish, white orcs chaining up their diverse black elf, and this next episode we're certainly going to find out that Arad, another conveniently made up character, is some white supremacist slave trader rather than an evil orc. Go figure! Again! I guarantee this is only going to get worse with every flipping episode.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
It's despicable to me that these writers have the absolute gall to come out and propagate themselves as Tolkien fans when they literally won't even put Tolkien's themes and messages into their show. I understand you had to pick and choose and make up a lot of storylines because there wasn't a clear one to follow in the Second Age. While that's your excuse, which is erroneously untrue by the way, I understand why you chose to defend that. But the absolute least you could do is put in the themes that Tolkien himself revered that are completely timeless and relevant to every one of his stories, and also pertinent to every person on Earth.
Are you stupid or something?
These are messages that run the world that Tolkien knew were pertinent to every person alive today. And here you guys are trumpeting your absolute virtue-signaling, mediocre, cringe-infested, pride-soaked, white guilt, BLM, feminist bullshit.
Hey! Take it easy!
Sorry, I'm very passionate about Tolkien's work and the ideals he strived to portray in his literature, so when people go against and completely disregard the eternal messages that he hoped he would promote to those who read his material, it boils my blood.
You're gonna die, clown!
From now on, the next generation of Tolkien fans that will be raised off of this rubbish are going to be brainwashed into accepting woke gobbledygook as gospel rather than the messages of love and sacrifice that ultimately create good people and healthy societies. And now that we've gotten the ugly out of the way, now it's on to the bad, which is just bad, bad, bad. And when bad becomes cringe, we look at the Harfoots. Yeah, I used to think that they were cute, but now it's been proven to me through this episode that the Harfoots are just complete a-holes.
Oh no! Anyway.
When we first see them in this episode, they're doing this weirdo chanting thing where they are saying, "Nobody goes off trail, and nobody walks alone."
Nobody goes off trail. Nobody walks alone. That's right, nobody goes off trail. Nobody walks alone.
Then 2 minutes later, they are literally reading from a book about all of the people that they have left behind. You just finished cringily chanting about how none of your people walk alone, but you have a book dedicated to the names of people you left to die? And not only that, you even laugh at how some of those people died, and later the punishment for Nori being a dimwit is that they have to pull their cart at the back of the company, implying that the true punishment is to be left behind. Did you guys honestly even read your own script?
Apparently not.
Harfoots are freaking douchebags, and any love I had for them is now shattered by their own demented, twisted sense of morality. You were right, guys, these are definitely not hobbits. Samwise Gamgee, Bilbo, and Frodo Baggins, Merry and Pippin, they are all completely different species from you maniacs as far as I'm concerned.
Sorry, not sorry.
Also, do the Harfoots ever have a goal to finally settle somewhere permanently, or are they just going to travel for all time and eternity? When the pioneers crossed the plains, they didn't do it for the sole purpose of picking up and leaving again. They did it because they wanted to settle in a place where they were heading to. You guys have made the Harfoots just traveling for no reason and then gave them a completely contrived conflict that somebody maybe left behind. Either they travel because it's fun, or they just suck at making settlements. I have no clue.
You suck!
That's not the only debacle that makes no sense. Want to know what happens to Karen Ladriel and not Sauron when they get to Numenor?
No.
This is basically how the conversation goes.
You are an enemy to us, and we don't want you here.
Okay, then let us leave.
No, you cannot leave. You are now prisoners.
But you just said that you didn't want us here, so let us leave.
Shut up! I'm a more strong female character than you are.
You're oppressing me.
Shut up! I'm the superior female character.
Girls, I have a solution. How about you let us stay here for a few days, and then you can let us leave, huh? Does that work?
Okay, that works.
What? What?
Like, what? This writing makes no sense. If you don't want them to be on your island, then give them a flipping boat. Why the hell do you keep them here? It's just another manufactured conflict to give our characters an excuse to stay in Numenor, and for no other reason. Of course, Karen Ladriel is doing Karen Ladriel things, exuding many of the attributes of a Mary Sue, like people just liking her for literally no apparent reason, even though she just threatened or berated them a minute before. Why are you wanting to give her access to an ancient library? She just threatened to murder you in public if you didn't give her a boat. Just let her leave, for heaven's sakes. Is this scene familiar to anyone?
Not that you care, but I think you're okay.
Suppose the words never managed to escape your throat. Thank you for bringing me here.
That right there is an attribute of a Mary Sue. Yeah, she may not be completely a Mary Sue, but she definitely has the attributes of it. People liking a character for literally no reason. Even when they would have every reason to hate said character. Here's another contrivance. You know that symbol that was branded on Not Finrod that Karen Ladriel also discovered in the cave? Yeah, it's just a freaking picture of the map where Sauron wants to gather his forces. You'd think in the hundreds and the hundreds of years, or maybe even millennia, that Karen Ladriel has been looking for Sauron, that she would have looked at a map at least once during that time.
What are you, stupid? What's the matter with you? I apologize. What's the matter with you?
And no, it's not the giant payoff that you think it is. It's just incredibly retarded. Man, I guess Karen Ladriel is stupider than I thought, although her being so gay for horses probably could have told us that to some extent. Seriously, this scene was so cheesy I almost vomited. Definitely remember to not pause whenever Morphin Clark is on screen, and especially don't slow it down for everyone to stare at. Ugh.
I'm waiting.
But also, what a stupid plan for Sauron to just leave a picture of where he wants to conquer everywhere he goes. I thought it was just the Eye of Sauron, but nope, it's a detailed map of where Sauron wants to eventually build his evil fortress. So dumb. Imagine if Hitler had branded a picture of Poland to every one of his victims before he invaded Poland. The war would have been over before it ever even started.
Duh and or hello.
Here the writers are again showing how stupid they really are. There's also no improvement on the dialogue from the past 2 episodes either. The cringe dialogue that was put in the trailer will never feel natural in a normal conversation, and I have no idea where they're trying to shoehorn it in all the time. Also, for some reason, both the Númenóreans and the Harfoots have this weird scene where they chant nonsensical sayings that made me immediately think that they were in a cult. How do we show the audience what the code of ethics and morality for these 2 people is? Have them demonstrate it through hard situations that bring about the sense of morality they have through great storytelling? Nah, let's just have them blurt it out loud in rapid succession for the audience to see.
We wait for you.
The sea is always right.
The sea is always right. Nobody goes off trail. Nobody walks alone. That's right.
That sounds good to me. Applying the good old rule of tell, don't show. It's cringy, it's on the nose, and it's dumb. Along with that, the action is cringe and dull. I thought that the action would maybe be the one saving grace of the show, but it really isn't. It just shows that the characters on screen are only as smart as their writers, and believe me, their writers are flipping dumb.
Ooh, sick burn.
How are we gonna break this chain, friends? Shall we wait for the orcs to turn their backs and quietly cut through the weakest link of the chain and make our escape when they are all asleep? Nah, let's just shove them around in broad daylight and put literally all the chains in one spot and just whack them with our hammers. Great strategy. Yeah, no wonder it didn't work, you protoplasmic idiotic morons. Also, why did this whole fight scene turn into a freaking tug-of-war? Orcs don't like the sunlight, but they're not freaking vampires. They're not gonna die if they walk into it. Another stupid manufactured conflict. There's also some horrible CGI. And just more and more slow motion wire work that makes the effects in the first Mortal Kombat movie look like a cinematic masterpiece. Also, Elendil's armor and all of his ship's people's armor, oh my gosh, it looks like paper. No, it looks like foam with literal moob armor. Oh my gosh, horrible. Looks horrible. Learn how to actually make good armor, will you? Use that $1 billion budget to actually make your costumes look real. And can we also please stop it with all of the slow motion? We know what you're doing. You're just padding out the runtime as much as possible. Nobody, and I repeat, nobody needs a 3-minute sequence of weirdo Karen Ladriel horse riding shots, or another 5-minute sequence of mourning an elf that we literally don't even know the name of. Who is this guy? Why should I care that he's dead? I don't!
What's the point?
It's so long and boring. The only reason that I was still awake at this time was because I was jotting down notes on everything I hate about this travesty.
I made this for you!
Is that all? Probably not, but I don't think I want to make this review longer than any one of Tolkien's actual novels, so we're going to try to wrap it up here. But remember, my friends, if you agree with any of my criticisms that I have made about this cinematic abomination, apparently you're just a racist, sexist bigot, and none of your justifiable arguments are actually valid, according to the woke activists propping up their own woke agenda for Hollywood. Guys, we don't hate the show because it's diverse. We hate the show because, well, it sucks. If we hated a show because it had black people in it, then why is the House of Dragon doing so well? It has even more diversity than the Rings of Prime. Your argument is completely invalid and shows that you just are out of touch with reality, and it's quite pathetic, really. Plus, I thought you were going to have diverse characters in your show. You literally have one black elf, one black dwarf, one black hobbit. Like, you'd think that you'd intermingle the races a little bit more and make there be multiple black people in the show, but no, it just shows how tokenistic it is. You're literally putting one in each race. And to finally wrap this up, I'm going to be giving you a recommendation for a movie that you should watch instead of this theatrical dumpster fire so that your brain doesn't melt into mush with every upcoming episode.
I'm melting!
The movie that I watched to restore my faith in modern cinema after episode 3 was the Steven Spielberg directed movie Schindler's List, based off of the true story of Oskar Schindler and his quest to save as many lives as possible during the travesty of the Holocaust in 1945. It has amazing acting that will put you in tears, from Liam Neeson to Ben Kingsley to Ralph Fiennes and Caroline Goodall. It is 3 hours and 15 minutes that will be a much, much better use of your time than the Rings of Prime ever could be. Check it out. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed my psychotic rant, and definitely check out the channel again for episode 4. Now that I've put myself through this torture for you, because I love you and I want you to watch good cinema, not garbage. Anyway, later!
What a surprise! My best friend, you're alive!
Well, if it ain't my little buddy Benny, I think I'll kill you.